Vagishadya sumanasaha sadvarthana upakrame yam natva kritakritya syuhutam nama vigajananam parthaya pratibodhitam bhagavata narayanena swayam vyasena gratitam purana munina madhye mahabharatam Advaita amritavarshiniim bhagavatim ashtadashaadhyayinim umbattvamanusandadomi Bhagavad Gite bhavatveshiniim mukam karoti vachanam pangum landayate girim yatkripakaracharya madhyamam asmadacharya padyantam vande guru paramparam yoginam vishwanathakyam asmattataswarupinam akadachana Gita-artha grantha-kartaram Sri-gurum pranamamyaham Yom-tah pravishya-me vacham dhritim buddhim prachodayat Om namah sababhyas sabapatibhyascha vo namah Om. Friends, we are in Gita Regimen. We have just finished shloka up to shloka 69, right? The next two shlokas, that is shloka number 70 and 71, are a kind of winding up by Krishna. From shloka number 55 onwards, second chapter, in answer to Arjuna's question, Sita Prajnasya Ka Bhasha, that kind. 70 and 71 now, which kind of winding up, as I told you. 72, that is shloka number 70, distinguishes the enlightened with the unenlightened. That is the ordinary, that is the yogi, the Siddha-prajna, the Brahmajnani, the one who has realized that person, and the common folk, the desire-ridden unenlightened, and the enlightened. This is contrast in the next shloka. By the way, that shloka number 70 is a longer shloka of a different meter. Apurjyamanamachala pratishtam samudramapah pravishanti advatim tadvatkava yam pravishanti sarve. It's a beautiful shloka. You see, it's an oft quoted shloka. It is quoted beyond the shores of India in various Western writers also are attracted by this shloka. Why? Because it tells you something very interesting. The enlightened person, sage, and the unenlightened common folk. The unenlightened common folk, there is only one word here. The last is a na kama kami. Apudyamanamachala pratishtam samudramapa pravishanti advate sadvat kamayam pravishanti sadve sashanti mapnoti. Up to that, it is about the enlightened person. Nakamakami. He obtains, he is described in the first three lines. So the fourth line, the last word, it says Nakamakami. The unenlightened person does not that peace. First, about the word kamakami. So, kamakami means, kama is desire, kami is one who desires. So, kamakami is one who desires desire. See? By the way, and this Hindi interpolation comes because of the vasana. 25 years I have been there in Pilani. That is anyway. So kamakami, one who desires desire. You see, we are all having wants. We have desires. But would any one of us be ready to say at any time, I have no more? We do not have any time when we can say, I have no more wants. You see, we seem to be wanting to have wants. We may not say so. We may not accept that statement that we seem to be wanting more wants. But every one of us, it's being going to be talked about in the other three lines of the shloka. The kamakami is one who desires desire, who wants, he does not say, that is it. Though people who are in distress say, if only that happens, oh, that would be they have something more to say. They would find something wrong there, and they would say, yes, like that. So, this is kamakami. Now the enlightened person, beautiful description. Apurdyamana machala pratishtam. It describes the enlightened person. Another is, it tells you how to reach that enlightened stage. That is the beauty onwards. What happens? He also has desires. The enlightened person, he has no desire, is a stage of not having any desire. How did he reach the stage of not having any desire? Those desires were absorbed into him and disappeared. Like what? Like waters of the river flowing given here. Apurdyamana machala pratishtam. River water is constantly flowing into the ocean. Apurdyamanam, yes, flowing, but ocean itself is unchanged. It does not exceed its limits. It is unchanged. The waters are coming, airs occupy the mind from all sides. Sarvashaha. You see? Apurdhyamana machala pratishtam samudram apaha pravishanti, the ocean. Apaha, water. Pravishanti, enter. Water enters the ocean from all sides, all the time. It is already filled up, but still it comes. You see? More desires are there. Kamakami. So these desires are more and more desires, more and more. You see? But when the waters flow in wish, the water that has flowed in and the water that is already there, the Kaveri water flows into the ocean, the Ganges water flows into the ocean, you cannot distinguish the waters of the Ganges or the Yamuna or the Kaveri from the waters of the ocean. They completely get absorbed. The same way, desires in the person. The desires, he had desires. What happened to those desires? They certainly were there, but they went in and disappeared, merged. Tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve. In the same way, just as waters flow into the ocean and get absorbed, say, yam pravishanti sarve. If they, all of them, whomsoever, they enter like this, that person, he is the enlightened person. Saha shantim apnoti. He attains eternal peace. You see? So, this is the contrast between the kamakami and the enlightened person. So in fact, this is a beautiful, so far you have about 15 shlokas that Krishna has been saying in answer to Arjuna's thing. What is the Sitaprajnasya Kabhasha Sama? To reach that stage, this is what you have to do. Let desires be there. Let desires be there. But see that those desires are swallowed and digested, just forgotten thereafter, to reach that stage. So this is a masterly capsule summary of the answer to Arjuna's question. In fact, throughout the Gita, we shall see such summaries, summaries in various shlokas, all embracing summaries. Not necessarily at the end of chapters, but wherever Krishna deems fit. He is an ideal teacher, as I have told you. Ideal teacher, what does he do? All my life. And I have also heard about other teachers being spoken of by students. You see, teachers are of two kinds. There are teachers and teachers. Students sometimes, he talks very well, he does well. But at the end of it, we don't know what he said. What was it all about? You see, this kind of feeling should not be there. That is, you cannot keep the student in a total suspense. You are taking them. You have to tell them what you are going to say. You have to keep on now and then summarizing what you have told. You see, I mean, in fact, one of the standard advices given to beginning teachers is, first tell them what you are going to say. After you have told them what you have said, tell them that you have told them what you wanted to say, like that, and then summarize what you have done. This is, Krishna does this. This is what he does here. Apu, the ever-filling ocean, absorbs all the waters that come into this, which is always coming. So also, let the desires that come, you see, they let them totally assimilated, and they will be forgotten. You cannot have any more. All the desires are consumed or burned into the fire of wisdom. This is the summary of this shloka and shlokas that Krishna has said so far. This is number 70, distinguishing the enlightened from the unenlightened. What does 71? A summary of the enlightened person. That is, just now he distinguished. This distinction is important for us because that tells you how to reach that stage. So, how do you reach that stage? We might have small desires. We might have great desires. So, from tomorrow, from this time, we start swallowing. Swallowing is the word, desires. That is, desire comes, first swallow small desires. Then, yes, there is a legitimate desire. Even legitimate desires have to be swallowed because that is the way it happens in the world. So that gives you a methodology to reach that. The enlightened person behaves. In fact, Sthitaprajnasya ka bhasha is the question that was asked. How does a Brahmajnani behave? So here he says, number shlokas that we had so far. Shloka number 71. Vihaya kaman yas sarvani pumam charati nisprugagadi gacchati. First, simple meaning. Vihaya kaman yaha sarvan. Yaha, whoever, sarvan kamane, all desires, yaha puman, whatever person, charati nisprugagadi, nirmamaha, no me and mine. No question of possession. Nirahankaraha, no egoism. In fact, this is a summary of the entire second chapter. So this is what has been saying. Viga yakaman yas sarvan sashantim adigacchati. He attains eternal peace. Who attains eternal peace? Then the rest of the shloka is that. You see, so whoever or whichever person, yaha puman, having discarded all desires, sarvan kaman vihaya charat, moves above. This praga, desireless. That is, here Shankara adds a very interesting statement. Jivanamatra cheshta shesha. Jivanamatra cheshta shesha. In order to sustain, or just to sustain the life, nothing more. That is, his efforts are reduced to securing whatever sustains life. He moves about, devoid. No, he has not. Spriha in earlier shloka, in one shloka I told you, spriha is the desire that sprouts when happiness comes. The man has got his promotion as soon as he desires. So that is called spriha. But here he uses spriha in a general sense. That is, all desires have been jivanamatra cheshta shesha, says Shankara in his commentary. His efforts have been reduced to securing what sustains life. He moves about out of happiness or out of unhappiness. He seeks nothing. He does not even desire to keep the body alive. This lives, that kind of thing. So he is describing a Brahmajnani here. And in the process, we also get the cue for how to reach that place. Then again, nirmamaha. So three things are here. Nispruha, nirmamaha, nirahankaraha. Nisprugaha, no desires. Nirmamaha, no me and mine, no sense. Even with respect to those things needed to maintain his body alive. See, no question of possession. If we are told of Ramana Maharshi in earlier times, when in his earlier time when he had just had one or two, probably a few shishyas, and he has just started. They had the possessions they had were a few books and probably a small one or two vessels for drinking water and things like that. These things were taken away by robbers. So, and his disciples were ready to go and fight with the robbers. Ramana Maharshi said, don't do that. They are doing their dharma, we should do our dharma. We should not go. He had no sense of possession of even those small things which were necessary to keep his ashmamaha, nirahankaraha. Nor does the enlightened person has any egoism. Even though he might be a scholar, he might have read the whole of the Gita, he must have understood all the Upanishads. Even then, he does not have any egoism. He is free from all feelings of self-esteem based on his scholarship and other things. Right? Such a person is the one who attains peace. What is peace? It is the cessation of sufferings, of all sufferings which are due to samsara, transmigration. That is called nirvana, not dependent anything. Nirvana means not dependent shloka. Nirvana, not dependent on anything. Totally independent, depending on his own self. What self? Capital self. That is nirvana, the state of shantim adhigacchati. So, this is a one shloka summary of the entire second chapter. Vihaya yakaman yas sarvane Pumamscharati nispragaga nirmamo nirahankaraham. Sashant takes us to the last shloka of the second chapter. Esha brahmi stiti partha nainam prapya vimuhyati stitva syam amrichyati. This is the brahmi stiti. It is another technical word. Beautiful word, brahmi stiti. What is brahmi stiti? Stiti is equilibrium state. This is called state, status. Brahmi sthiti. So it is the totally renounced state wherein one lives in the realization of Brahman. Brahmi sthiti. Esha Brahm. Just now he has said Sashanti Madhigacchati. That person we are. Remember, Krishna is talking in a continuous way. Or if you cannot understand the Sanskrit, if you read the English version or any language version, shloka by shloka, throughout, just like that, in one go, you will find the continuity about in the previous shloka. The totally renounced state where one lives in the realization of Brahman. Having obtained this, sitva asyam, this state having been reached even at the time of the last breath, Antakalepi, even if one reaches this state at the end of one's life, one will have no more delusion. Antakalepi, Brahmanirvana amrichyati, perfectly bliss, which is perfect bliss. And you look at Shankara's commentary at this point, he goes a little autobiographical. He doesn't say so, but look at this Shankara's commentary. Even if one reaches this at the last stage of one's life, he reaches moksha, is what it says here. So Shankara adds in his commentary. So what to speak of somebody who even lives all the life in that state? You see, this is how he lived. This is how he lived. So he is talking about himself in that commentary. Beautiful. Kimu vaktavyam brahmacharyadeva sanyasanyasya yavat jivam yaha brahmanieva avatishtate saha. Who will, what to speak of? Somebody who from the brahmachari stage has renounced the world and all his life, realization of Brahman, Saha Brahman, why will he not reach moksha? Certainly he will. So this is the autobiographical note we should recognize. You see, that is a very interesting observation. And so that takes us to the end of chapter 2. At this point, I want to show you a kind of summary, an overview, which I am going to give you chapter, but this overview of the entire Gita is going to be given to you in 18 shlokas. 18 shlokas means not in 18 full shlokas, but half a shloka, 1/4 shloka, all those things added up will become 18. So an overview of the Gita in 18 shlokas is what I am attempting. Purely personal, scholars might differ on this, but this is my personal. As far as the second chapter is concerned, we know in the second chapter we had the Karma Yoga. First we had the distinction between permanent and ephemeral, right? That is transient and permanent. What is permanent, what is transient? Only the soul is permanent. And then he switched over to the Karma Yoga aspect, and that is from there he jumped into the topic of the Sthita Prajna, the Brahmajnani, the enlightened person. So these are the general trends in the second chapter. But as far as Gita regimen is concerned, I want to emphasize the Gita regimen for us, for you and me, for everybody. The Gita regimen is concerned, I think, again, as I told you, it is purely my personal opinion. There are only, please show that slide, an overview of the Gita through representative shlokas and padas, through 18 shlokas. From chapter 2, I am selecting the following. What are the things I am selecting? One is shloka number 48, because it is a regimen. What you have to do? Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyosamo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Shloka number 48. This is an exact, it's like a command. You have to do. What do you do? Kuru karmani. Do all your obligatory actions. How do you do it? Yogastaha. Be in yoga. And what is yoga? Siddhya siddhyos samo bhutva. Between success and failure, treat it as equal. There must be equanimous. Equanimity between success and failure. Siddhya siddhyos samo bhutva. Samatvam yoga uchyate. That yoga. That is what. So, sangam tyaktva, yogastha kuru karmani, sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. You have to discard the association, the expectation of the results, of the association with anything that happens thereafter. So that is number one. So I am selecting a shloka and another half shloka and another quarter shloka from the second chapter as an overview. That is number one, Karma Yoga. This is under the category of Karma Yoga. Under the category of sense control, we have the most beautiful line, Raga Dvesha Viyuktaistu Vishayan Indriyaischaran. That one half of shloka, shloka number 64. This is very important, as I told you. The whole thing is we have to avoid the raga and dvesha. We should never have occasion to say, his words are still ringing in my ears. I will tell him, I will show him who I am. This kind of thing. You see, the remembering things, remembering the wrongs done by others. We should never we should never forget the good done by others, but we should try to forget as early as possible, fully, totally, completely, all the wrongs supposed to have been done by others. So raga dvesha viyuktaistu Vishayan Indriyaischaran. So that is a major injunction for the regimen. In order to help us do it, the divine grace has to come from our activity. Yukta asita matparaha. We have to surrender to the Lord. Surrender. Under the category of surrender, Yukta asita matparaha, 1/4 of the shloka. So that is 1/4 of the shloka. The ragadvesha viyukta is to vishayan indriyaischaram, half a shloka, and a full shloka yogastha kuru karmani. This is 1 3/4 is the contribution to my selection of contribution from the second chapter to the 18 shlokas that I am going to string together to tell you as a complete overview of the entire Gita. Right? That is the thing. But as a supplementary, because people do have a feeling that I add 9 shlokas to the 18 shlokas later, making 27, and those supplementary shlokas which I take from the second chapter are number 4, ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhu ma te sangosva karmani. Everybody knows the meaning of the shloka. Your duty is only for action, not for the fruits thereof. So, and do not be attached to the non-action. So that karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhu. Do not be the cause for the results of the action. You should not be the cause, because you must have the attitude that you have never done it, and you must be able to desist from any proprietary right on the action. This will come later, but that is implied there, because there is a jahati later. And again, one more shloka for the supplementary selection. First half, Nasato Vidyate Bhavo. First half of shloka number 16. Nasato Vidyate Bhavo. Bhavo Vidyate Sadhana. Beautiful statement that whatever is will never not be. Whatever is not, that is absolutely not. Absolutely not. Whatever has an absolute existence will always exist. Whatever has no absolute existence, it will not exist even if it appears to exist. That is this. That is what happens to the world which we see before us. So that gives you an overview of the Gita. We are going to continue that kind of overview in every chapter. Together they will add up to 18 shlokas. But right now the contribution of chapter 2, I have told you. With that we will give a finish to chapter 2, and then we will start the 3rd chapter in the next session. Usually in such presentations, we usually just recite the next shloka that we begin with in the next chapter, because we never shloka of a chapter. So the next shloka, Arjuna uvacha jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana ojagasi keshava. That is where we will start in our next session. Swasti prajabhya paripalayantam nyayena margena makim mahishava gobrahmanebhya shivamastu nityam lokas samasta sukino bhavantu. Om.